Hello friends, it's Alexis and welcome to episode 2 of Is the Book Better? Featuring Jurassic Park. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the new series on my channel where I read the book and then watch the movie adaptation and compare them to decide is the book always better than the movie. If you missed out on episode 1 where I read and watched The Exorcist, I will have that linked below. But this time around, we are heading to Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is a 1993 American science fiction adventure film directed by Steven Spielberg and written by Michael Crichton and David Koepp. Based on Crichton's 1990 novel, the film is set on the fictional island of Isla Nublar near Costa Rica, where wealthy businessman John Hammond and a team of genetic scientists have created a wildlife park of de-extinct dinosaurs. When industrial sabotage leads to a catastrophic shutdown of the park's power facilities and security precautions, a small group of visitors struggle to survive and escape the now perilous island. Just like in episode 1 where I read The Exorcist, this is another case of a movie that I have seen before that I love, and I've never read the book, so I'm really excited to check out the original source material and see how different it is. If I am placing bets at the beginning of each one of these episodes, I am once again going to say that I think the movie is going to be better, and that's because I just cannot imagine that a book could be better than that film. It is, in my opinion, one of the best movies ever made, and honestly, I'm excited to get proved wrong. The synopsis of the book is very similar to the one I just read for the movie, but it seems like this has a higher emphasis on the science fiction element of the story. An astonishing technique for recovering and cloning dinosaur DNA has been discovered. Now humankind's most thrilling fantasies have come true. Creatures extinct for eons roam Jurassic Park with their awesome presence and profound mystery, and all the world can visit them for a price, until something goes wrong. So going in blind with no expectations of how the book is going to differ from the movie, just based on the synopsis, I have a feeling this is going to be more heavy on the science fiction elements. It's not going to have as much action as in the movie, but we shall see. So I'm gonna go start this thing and I will be back to check in with you in a little bit. With my first update. Sorry, I do not feel like sitting up. It's a lazy day, okay? I want to sit on my couch and I want to read about dinosaurs, so that's what I'm doing. So I just made it through part 1 called The First Iteration, and first of all, pause. I have to show you my bookmark. I like to match my bookmarks to the books I'm reading, as many people do, I'm sure. I don't have anything dinosaur related. The closest thing I have is a raven. So this is a bookmark created by Covers with Cassidy for Realmathon 2025. I was on Team Raven, so had to get this stunning bookmark. So other than the bookmark, I am absolutely loving this book. Like, I didn't expect to dislike it, but, you know, it was written in the 90s, it's written by a man, it's science fiction. I was expecting it to maybe be a little dull, a little hard to get into. No, I was in it from the very first page. I sat here and I read 30 pages straight through, which is a miracle for me lately. My attention span for reading has been just terrible, and if I don't have the audiobook, I don't like sitting down and reading big chunks of books at a time. I know 30 pages is not a lot, but for me, in one sitting, it's a lot. So already absolutely loving my time with this one. It has been almost a year since I last saw the movie. And this was like my first time actually sitting down as an adult and actually paying attention to the first movie, because obviously I had seen it as a kid, but I don't think I ever fully paid attention to it or maybe even saw it all the way through. So it was funny. It was actually Dan and I's 10th anniversary, and as an anniversary present, he bought me a new bookshelf. So we spent our anniversary rearranging our living room, moving the bookshelves from one wall to the other, assembling the new bookshelf, and then watching all 3 Jurassic Park movies that weekend. So that was a really fun time. And just like knowing how much I love the movies, I wasn't sure what to expect with the book, but like there is a good chance I might end up liking the book more. I wouldn't be surprised, right? We all know the book is always better. But this has been really fun to put it to the test. So back to the book. Part 1 is really just setting us up. It is a little slow in the sense that we are not on the island yet. We don't really even know that the dinosaurs are being created yet. It's a slow opening to the book, but like I'm not bored. Like it's not slow in that sense. It's just maybe slower than I remember the movie being, because I feel like we get to the island pretty fast in the movie. Maybe not. Maybe there is a bigger wait than I'm remembering, but so far in the first 30 pages, there has been an interaction with a dinosaur. A little girl is attacked on a beach, and it's a tiny dinosaur, so it's not fatal, but she comes away from it with a bunch of bite marks, and she has to go to the hospital because she has an allergic reaction. And the doctors are all like, no, it was this species of lizard. They're common in this area. They're not usually aggressive towards humans, but like it had to be this lizard. And her description of it having a long neck, walking on its 2 hind legs, having 3 toes, does not match up with the description of this lizard. But obviously the doctors aren't thinking that there is a dinosaur walking around. So, you know, they're blowing it off. They do take samples of the lizard's saliva, but then like it's mentioned that as soon as the girl is discharged from the hospital, they throw the samples out. Like they're not really going through with studying it. So we meet a few scientists along the way. Oh, and I'm completely forgetting, there is also a prologue in this called The Bite of the Raptor. And this is a doctor working in Costa Rica, so very close to where the island is, where these dinosaurs are living. And a man is brought to her, and he has just been completely mauled by something. We know a raptor from the chapter header, and the people who brought him there are like, no, he's working construction on the island. He was run over by something, some mechanical vehicle. And the doctor's like, there is no way, like this is matching like tiger attacks I've seen. And that man ends up not surviving his injuries. So just from the beginning, we are getting the sense that something is going on this island. Something dangerous is happening. And as the man was dying, he said raptor. So our first hints of bad things to come, foreshadowing. And then yeah, after the little girl is attacked by the small dinosaurs, we're just getting more from scientists in New York. We find out that there have been other reports of lizard attacks in Costa Rica, so seems like this might be a trend. Seems like maybe something has escaped from the island. And then in the very last chapter of part 1, we finally get somebody says the word dinosaur. There is this scientist, and she is looking at the girl's drawing of what attacked her, and she right away says, that's a dinosaur. I have young children who are very interested in dinosaurs. They draw them all the time. This is a drawing of a dinosaur, not a lizard. And of course, they're like, what are you talking about? Dinosaurs are extinct, but it kind of seems like it's gonna get stuff moving. So I'm really excited to keep going. I am just going to sit here and jump right into part 2. So far, initial thoughts, you already know I'm loving it. I just really like the slow setup, getting to learn more about the scientific process, being on the outside looking in. Like I thought that we would go into this like already knowing what was happening, the experiments, the dinosaurs being brought back, but it's like being an outsider and trying to solve the mystery of what is going on, what are these lizards, and why are they attacking people? I have just finished part 2, the second iteration, and I have some thoughts. So I'm still absolutely loving this. I can't believe I'm obsessed with this book. This is so much fun. I love the mix of science fiction and the horror and like, oh, it's just told in such a realistic way. Like, I totally believe that some billionaire is doing this with dinosaurs. This is so fun. I'm so happy I picked this one as the next episode. For the second part, I did switch over to the audiobook. That way I could do some things around the house. I actually spent a very long time raking leaves outside. So yeah, that was my big project of the day, but I had a great audiobook to listen to during. And then I just washed some dishes. And next up for part 3, I'm going to be working on taking down all of my Halloween decorations. But back to the book. So I did take some notes while I was listening to the audiobook. So let me reference those. First up, the biggest part of part 2 has been the new characters being introduced. So we have I'd say 4 main characters that we know from the film. We meet Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, Ian Malcolm, and we finally come face to face with Dr. Hammond and fly to his island. But before all that happens, we meet up with Alan Grant as he is digging up a new site where dinosaur bones were just discovered. And we learn that there is an investigation going on. So this guy from the EPA named Bob Morris, he ends up coming in and he really gives us all of our background information that we need to know. He's sort of laying the clues so that the reader can come to the conclusion of what Dr. Hammond is actually doing on the island before it's revealed. Being a fan of the movie, we already know that dinosaurs are involved, but from the investigation, we find that Dr. Hammond has been funding all of these dig sites, all of these projects, but only in cold climates, which I love that inclusion because, of course, if he's looking for traces of DNA to be able to use in experiments, it would have to come from the cold climates, you know, places where it's been frozen this whole time. They also go into that he's been buying a lot of amber, and I think that's a big part of the movie, that they like get DNA from something stuck in amber. And then we find out a lot more about Alan Grant's work, how he has been finding a lot of juvenile dinosaurs, and that is what Dr. Hammond is really, really interested in. He has a lot of questions for Grant about their dietary habits and their eggs and their mortality rate and just like everything that is so clear. He needs this information because he is raising dinosaurs. I love it. I love the little hints, the little clues before we get the big picture, the big information, the reveal that dinosaurs have been brought back to life. So when Dr. Hammond hears that Grant has been visited by this EPA agent, he invites, or more so forcefully suggests, that Alan and Ellie should come visit the island and check out the work he's been doing. This is where we meet the infamous Dr. Ian Malcolm. He is a mathematician, and I know it's definitely clouding my judgment that I'm just picturing the actors as I'm reading about these characters, but the movie just has such perfect casting, I can't help myself. So I don't care. I'm having a fun time. I couldn't picture these characters as anybody other than the actors that play them in the movie. At the end of part 2, our gang all hops on a plane and travels to Isle Nubar off the coast of Costa Rica, where Dr. Hammond has built his Jurassic Park, his amusement park where he is bringing back the dinosaurs. And we land, and without even any warning to our main characters, they come face to face with a brontosaurus. So we have our first human dino face-to-face interaction. Of course, our dinosaur nerds are just going absolutely crazy. This is the best day of their entire lives, and it's so good. It's so good. I cannot wait to get further into it, and when shit starts going down, I have a feeling this is going to be way more brutal and violent than the movie was, just based on some of the scenes we already got in part 1. I'm having such a good time. I am back with my final update for the night because I am sleepy. So while I am going to read a little bit more after I get into bed, this is it for talking to you, and we will check back in tomorrow morning. So I did make it to the 4th iteration. I made it all the way through part 3, and I'm now at the 45% mark, so pretty good for one day. I'm definitely hoping to finish this tomorrow, and I just have a really good feeling that once I pick this up tomorrow, I'm not going to want to put it down because that's basically what happened today. I spent the majority of today when I could listening to the audiobook or reading physically. Felt like part 3 was a lot longer than it was. It was 100 pages, which is longer than the first 2 parts combined, but still, I was almost expecting to check and be at the 60 or 70% completion mark, but then like remembering how much I have left in the story, it does make sense that we are now getting to the 50% mark, and the things that have occurred have happened at this point. I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to spoil anything in this videos for those who have not seen the movie or read the book. But from my memory, this is being very faithful to the movie, or I should say that the movie is a very good adaptation of this. So at the beginning of part 3, we are all on the island at this point. We all enter Jurassic Park and we see the dinosaurs. We discover what has been going on and what Dr. Hammond has created. And if it isn't bad enough that all these scientists are on the island for this weekend and the events that we know are going to happen, there are also children on the island because Dr. Hammond has invited his 2 grandchildren, Alexis and Tim, I think is the boy's name. So yeah, they are going to be right in the middle of all of the action when it finally starts happening. Part 3 was a little slow in the action sense. Again, I'm not thinking it's slow. I'm still enjoying every second of the book, but just knowing how actiony at least the movie gets for the rest, it was slow in comparison. Part 3 is a lot of learning about the island, learning about how they created the dinosaurs, how they are keeping them in their enclosures, all of the tracking they do to make sure that nothing bad could possibly happen. Clearly, we find out that their systems were not as flawless as they thought they were, just like Dr. Ian Malcolm predicts. Bad things have been happening behind the scenes that the scientists on the island, their computers just haven't been programmed to catch. And right at the end of part 3, we look into it and we realize there are more dinosaurs on the island that should be. Something has been happening that they were not aware of that should not be happening. And if that discovery was not bad enough, now there is a security failure, we'll say, and there is no electricity on the island, which means there is nothing keeping the dinosaurs in their enclosure. The electric fences are down, and a lot of the dinosaurs know how to open the gates. So we know what's coming next, and oh my god, I'm so excited to get into it. This has been such a fun time. I know that's all I keep saying is how much I'm loving this, but it is such a surprise. I really thought something this science heavy, because there has been a lot of it, would be boring, and I have not felt that at all. I am so engrossed in the story. I am so engrossed in this science fiction world, these discoveries and how they've made the dinosaurs, how they genetically engineered them to be better in this zoo environment, their tracking systems, just I am loving every second of it. I think it is so cool. And while we got some of this in the movie, it is going into so many more details about it, and I feel like it is really adding to the story. check in. I have not yet reached the end of part 4. I have about 30-ish pages left to go, but it felt like a good point to check in with you. I just took a bit of an extended break from reading. Rewind to this morning. It's been a lazy day. I woke up, I started reading while I had my coffee, and then I put on the new Frankenstein movie in the background just because I'm so jealous of the people who are watching it for the first time, and I wanted to watch it again. So put that on for about an hour just as background noise while I was reading, and then it was time for football, so I watched the game. We ended up ordering veggie burgers, and then I immediately fell asleep after the game was finished because I consumed so much food. It was so good. I had a veggie burger, french fries, and then a vegan chocolate shake. I was in heaven, but it immediately put me to sleep. We have to be careful with her. She's a library copy. So after I woke up, I got ready. I just finished filming my October wrap up. I then got changed back into my comfy clothes, and here we are. We are back to start reading some more. I am currently at page 266. I'm in a control chapter in the 4th iteration, and this is just so much fun. This is so much like watching the movie. Like, I know that is a problem with this, that I've seen the movie before, because it is clouding my judgment. I am just picturing the scenes from the movie as I'm reading this. I feel like it is making it hard to judge the book on its own because I'm just picturing the film. So far, to my memory, it is like 1-to-1 comparison. I can't think of anything extra that has been in the book that wasn't in the film, besides just some like extra explaining about the scientific process, about the dinosaurs, all of that. But especially in the 4th iteration, when the action starts happening, where dinosaurs start attacking people, that has been, as far as I remember, like spot on to the movie. So we have the incident with Nedry, which was so fun to read. It was so brutal. And then we have, of course, where our main characters get stuck in the cars, and the cars run on electricity. So when the electricity goes out, the cars are stuck and all of the dinosaurs start escaping their enclosures. They have a run-in with the T-Rex. Terrifying. In my memory, the T-Rex was always the scariest to me. But in reading this, and we're not even to the scenes with the raptors yet, I think the raptors are going to be the scariest. Like, dinosaurs are so scary. This is just unlocking a new fear I didn't realize I have. So it's a good thing they're extinct, because I definitely would not be traveling to Jurassic Park if they were alive for real. I just like feel this could have worked out and been a really good idea if they had only de-extinctified the herbivores. Why are we bringing back the carnivores? Who thought this was a good idea to try and keep a T-Rex in a cage? Like, I could have told you that that would not have worked out well, but I'd be totally down to see some plant-eating dinosaurs. They seem cool. The one scene I did really like is we had a dinner scene between Hammond and one of the scientists, and Hammond was going into his reasoning for why he was creating this, and in his mind he is just such a kind man. You know, he's creating this park for the children so kids can see dinosaurs, but then he's just talking about his greed and why, as a genetic engineering company, you know, they could be creating cures for cancers or cures for all of these diseases, but then the patents, they wouldn't be able to charge as much for these medications as they wanted to. Making medications doesn't make you rich. Even though it's helping people, all he cares about is getting rich. But creating a theme park like that, he explains that you can make the ticket prices as high as you want, and people will still visit them, because it'll sort of become like a status symbol. Like, you can charge $5,000 for a ticket to Jurassic Park. People are still going to do that so that they are able to say, I went to Jurassic Park. I was one of the few that got to see the dinosaurs. So it's really just driving home how bad of a person Hammond is, that he knows he has the technology where he could be making life-saving medications. All he cares about is getting rich. And I like that commentary in here. I think that's all I had to say for now. So I'm gonna get back to this. So excited. I just took some pictures for Instagram, so I have some editing to do on those. Other than that, I'm just gonna be hanging out here and listening to my book. Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. And wow, this book is so good. Like, why did I not read this sooner? I am gonna go with a 5-star rating. This is just everything I want in like a action-y horror science fiction story. This was so much fun and so suspenseful. Like, not usually in books do I get like, you know, worked up, heart racing, but it was like watching a movie. I have some notes of my favorite parts because we did not talk a lot at the later sections. I just was so into it. We got to the action-y bits and I just wanted to read. We got the waterfall scene. Wow, that one like on the edge of my seat. So nervous for people involved during that scene. The pterodactyl scene. This book is so scary. Like, I did not know I was afraid of dinosaurs until now. I also really loved that every time Hammond was on page saying, "We've got it under control, don't worry," everything goes to shit. Just more and more things keep going wrong. Thought that was really funny. Thought the ending was very funny. And there was a big change. Something happened that I know for sure does not happen in the movie. So we'll talk about that at the end. I'll probably throw in a few spoilers because wow, I do have my theories about why they would make that little change from the book to the movie, but we'll talk about it then. All that's left now is to do our rewatch of Jurassic Park, and I'm so excited. One of the best movies ever. It is going to be tough competition between the book and the movie, but we'll have to wait and see. It's been almost a year since I've watched the movie last, and now that I know what it's based on, we're just gonna have to see how good of a job it does. Let me start out by saying it is currently pouring right now, so I really hope the camera is not picking that up and I sound okay because it is loud. But we have completed our viewing of the movie. We have completed the book. Now it is time to finally compare and decide once and for all, is Jurassic Park the book better than the movie? We knew going into the movie that it was going to be tough competition because this was a 5-star book for me. And to hopefully nobody's surprise, because I have been raving about the movie since the beginning, I am also going to be rating the movie 5 stars. So does this mean that the book and movie are equal, or was one better? And I think that is a very hard question to answer, but I think I am going to say that I preferred the book to the movie in this case. This is so close to me because I honestly love this movie so much. It is, in my opinion, a perfect movie, and I don't even think in me saying that the book was better, I would want those extra things added to the movie. Like, I think the movie is perfect, nothing else needed to be added, but now having them and being able to compare the differences, I preferred the book. Let's talk about some of the differences. First of all, the beginning of the book had a lot more scientific information. It was a lot more drawn out before we got to Jurassic Park. And in the movie, well, there was a little bit of that, nothing compared to the book. We got to the island much faster. And for me, the sci-fi nerd that I am, I loved learning about the science behind it, what they were doing, the little mystery in the beginning of not knowing what was going on and piecing together that Hammond was creating dinosaurs. Also, all of the dinosaur attacks that we got in the beginning of the book. I don't believe the raptor attacking the construction worker is in any of the films besides the little bit of a scene that was in the beginning of the movie, but they didn't go into detail. They didn't fly him to the doctor in Costa Rica like they do in the book. And I feel like that set the tone perfectly. Already having this dinosaur attack and like this creepy eeriness, knowing that they're dangerous and the outside world not being aware of what was going on. I loved that inclusion so much. And then the scene with the little girl on the beach getting attacked by the compies. In my memory, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that in a movie. But after watching the movie, that is not in the first movie. They do use it later on. Actually, in the second Jurassic Park movie, if I'm remembering correctly, because I did look it up, because I remembered watching this scene happen. But it was not included in the first movie, and I found there were a lot of scenes like that that were in the book, but not in the first movie. I do really like that they eventually used them in the later films, but that's just more ways that the book was superior. There was a lot more tense scenes with the dinosaurs in it. Another big difference was the character of John Hammond. In the book, he was this billionaire who all he cared about was making money. He didn't care whose safety he put at risk. He was going to continue building Jurassic Park for his own gain. And in the film, it was flipped. He was a very sympathetic, nice character. He kept repeating that he was doing this for the kids, being able to experience the dinosaurs. And there was even a scene with his lawyer where he was saying he didn't want to charge a lot for ticket prices. He wanted everybody to be able to experience Jurassic Park, and the lawyer was like, no, you could get so rich off of this. You could charge $2,000 a day, that kind of stuff. And that was such a big shift from the book. And honestly, I preferred the book version of John Hammond. I think it was a more realistic look of how billionaires actually act. They are always looking to make themselves more money. I personally believe billionaires should not exist. Nobody should have that much money. And you cannot convince me that if somebody actually created something like Jurassic Park, they would be letting people in for free to see the dinosaurs. No. So I just liked the much more realistic view of John Hammond as only looking out for himself, only trying to make money off of this. So at this point of the video, I am going to get into spoilers for the end of the book. So if you want to skip ahead, I will put a timestamp here. But if you have read the book, then you know what a big difference the book ending to the movie ending has, and how in the book, we have two major deaths. So first, let's talk about the death of John Hammond. I loved it. I thought it was so deserving for him to go out by dinosaurs of his own creation. And I think it's really funny that he's taken out by the little chicken-sized compies. He's not taken out in this big, dramatic, heroic scene by a T-Rex or a Velociraptor. He is attacked and eaten alive by the compies. I think that is so funny, so fitting of what a weak man he was in the book, that these little guys are able to take him down. Where in previous scenes, we see them attacking babies while they're sleeping, or the little girl on the beach, that they attack this man and they are his demise. I loved that so much. I do wish they had kept that in the movie. I don't know if it's just my imagination while I was reading that I was able to turn it into a film in my mind, or if that is included in one of the later movies. This is something I probably could research. Okay, no, he does not die on screen in one of the later movies. So they completely write his death out of the movies, which I do understand because, like we talked about, he is a more sympathetic character in the movies. He's not really seen as a bad guy, maybe misguided, and maybe he has too much money for his own good, but he truly in the movies was trying to do a good thing, I think you could argue, whereas in the books, it's very clear that he is an evil man. Next, of course, we have to talk about another big death that happens in the book, but not the movie, and that, of course, is Dr. Ian Malcolm. So I just did a little bit of internet research to try and figure out why and what really happened there. And I think my theory matches what I'm reading online, that it was most likely taken out of the movie because he is such a lovable character. I mean, he's an icon. I mean, when you talk about the film Jurassic Park, you cannot not talk about the incredible way Jeff Goldblum portrays this character. I was actually doing a little bit of reading that the second book comes out after the movie is made, and that he possibly brought Ian Malcolm back for the second book. That way he could be a part of the movie. So I think that's really, really interesting that maybe the movie had such a big effect. You know, it was so popular that it really swayed Michael Crichton to write more. Maybe he wasn't planning on ever writing more books, and the success of the movie changed his mind. Overall, I'm fine with it either way. I don't think his death in the book really added anything, and so I'm really fine with him surviving in the movie and then going on to be sort of the main star of the sequel. That might just be because I really like Jeff Goldblum, but let me know your thoughts. I think to me the most shocking scene that was included in the book, but not the first movie, was the pterodactyl run-in. Because to me, that is such an iconic scene in the movie. I am so happy that they went back and they did include it in the third movie. Like, that scene in the third movie has to be the best dinosaur interaction we get in that film. And I really enjoyed reading it, having the images from the movie playing in my head. I love this book so much. I love the film series so much. This is truly so close to being an equal matchup to me. Really, the only reason I'm saying the book is better is for the inclusion of those extra scenes that we get in the later films. And I'm so happy that they were able to do that. That the first film was so successful that they could continue to make more and include those scenes that were left out of the first movie. Because, I mean, could you imagine a world without the pterodactyl scene in it? All right, friends, that is going to be it for our second episode of Is the Book Better? And for the second time, we have determined that the book is better than the movie. If you have read any more of the Jurassic Park books, please let me know. Is the series worth continuing, or is the first book the standout and the best of them? And if you have watched the films, please let me know what your favorite is. I think the first definitely has to be my favorite. I know that's the popular opinion, but it's so well done. If you would just like to leave me a comment to let me know you were here, you know we have to go with the dinosaur emoji, so please fill the comments with dinosaurs. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you read a good book or watch a good movie today, and I will see you soon in my next one. Bye.